Good morning. It is Monday, August maybe 18th. Um, yeah, I'm not sure, but we're getting breakfast. We are in Kirkwall. We're heading out for the day. We're going to do some touring. And here we are. We are at Skara, Brae. I was here several years ago when I was on a cruise and we stopped in the Orkneys, and it's just so fabulous. I wanted to bring Chip back, so here we go. All right, right now we are in a replica. We're getting ready to go down to the village and see the actual dwellings, but this is a replica of a dwelling. So they had this little cell back here, and they weren't sure what that's for. And some of them they said had been found with drains in them, and they think they might. One possible use was an indoor toilet, so that's pretty fancy. Stone dresser. These are box beds. Hello. And then there's a little storage place above that. And there's another box bed. And then in the middle was the hearth and another storage thing. And here's the visitor center. And then right next to the visitor center is the reconstruction. So really interesting. Now I have to find Chip. I don't know where he went. We are on the path to the village. All right, we're not at the village yet. That's where all those people are. But this is the seashore. So it's lovely. So the village was quite a bit, well, not quite a bit inland, but it wasn't right on the edge of the water. And over the 600 years it was inhabited, I guess the climate changed. There was more wind, sand was being brought up, and they were saying their houses got inundated with sand. So I guess they left because they couldn't deal with it. I don't know. Okay, we have made it to the village, and I'll do a little more filming. All right, and this one right there is one of the oldest of the homes that they found. And you can see the beds are actually built into the wall, and they were not a separate structure from the wall. So, but it's just fascinating. All these the steps going down. I mean, really well thought out. And this is the workshop. And it's the only building that was not a house, I guess, where they feel like people didn't live here because it didn't have a dresser and beds. Here's another home. It's kind of interesting to think that these were all built like 5,500 years ago, somewhere around there. No metal was used. Obviously, they put metal around some of the stone to hold it together, but And there were all these covered passages. So basically, it was a city under the ground. Protect them from the elements. Yes. And this is house number 1. So fascinating. The Flintstones were kind of right about everything was rock. So funny. So it's interesting to think that the people who built this, I'm sure they had no idea that it would last. Of course, I guess they had the concept of the years and the seasons, but that it would last for 5,000 years. That is crazy. And sadly, this area was a little too narrow for Chip to come on, so he could only come on part of it. And there's that house number 7, which is not open to be seen. And they have the reconstruction that we went through, so. And again, for whatever reason, I find that the fact that all these homes were connected in by underground passages, I just find that really fascinating. But an interesting thing, privacy was a thing then, because the houses were private. They even had a stone they could put in front of the door for privacy. So it wasn't like a communal living situation. They lived in community, but they just didn't all live together in one big place. They each had their own private homes. So fascinating. And it looks like that was the entrance from the passageway, and everything else was just kind of storage. And this home actually has 3 beds, 3 of those box beds. One there, and then another one, and then that one. So maybe big family? I don't know. Here's where we are headed. This is called Skyle House. The bay back there is Skyle Bay, Skaill. Not sure how to pronounce it, but anyway, you get to go in there, maybe. So we came into going into the house through there, and there's a lovely sunken garden here. All right, and this is where we are. Very cool. Okay, here is the dining room. So a Scottish Orkney manor house dining room. Really low ceilings. I'm sure that made total sense with the weather. And this is the library. And it is a very cozy room. And here is the staircase. I'm going to head upstairs. Chip is going to wait down here. And this was the drawing room, which is interesting because it's on the 2nd floor. Very small. I like the fireplace. And this is the other half of the drawing room. So this is one of the bedrooms. It was the bedroom. It's kind of a time capsule of Kathleen Scarth. And she was the wife of the gentleman who had the house in the 60s and redid it and modernized it. She was actually his personal secretary. I'm not sure what happened to his first wife, but anyway, they got married. A little bit of a time capsule. They said it's exactly how it looked when she lived here. And this was her very 1960s bathroom. Loving the pink, loving the Harry Coo on the toilet. And this is called the bishop's bedroom. And the bed is quite something else. I do not know why it's called the bishop's bedroom, but maybe I can find out. Oh, sorry about the finger. Maybe I can find out. Okay, Bishop George Graham is the one who established the Breckness estate, which is where the Scale House is. So that's been since the 1620s. This is called the gun room. And here are some of the uniforms that some of the lairds of the estate wore. All right. So while the sun is shining, I am going to take some pictures. We are at the Ring of Brodgar. And the heavens have opened. We've got a little blue sky. And it's beautiful. And here's where we are. The Ring of Brodgar.
It's as good as it's been.
Okay, look at the heather. The heather is just beautiful. But this is the Ring of Brodgar.
What you already know, of course, is that this is a henge monument. And I kind of know from experience, whenever, it doesn't matter where you come from, when you hear that word, what do you think about? Stone. It's like a knife in my
It's gorgeous.
Of course it's stone, yes.
Oh, the heather is just phenomenal. Our guide was saying that it's nicer than it's been in years. Oh.
Contrast now.
Okay, so this is a burial mound. Wow, we learned so much, and this is also a burial mound. These are Bronze Age. Obviously, the stones are Neolithic, but our guide said this is to show that, or it indicates that this area was still, thousands of years later, very important and a sacred spot. Our guide is amazing. There are
whether you want to see the collective as a family,
26 stones out of the original 60, but she felt it was fluid. Stones came and went, possibly. 26 are still standing. They've identified 7 quarries that the stones have come from. And the thing about it is they set the stones to face the direction of the quarry they came from. Oh my gosh. And she said there are still stones that they don't know where they came from, so there are more quarries. Okay, these stones are not deep at all, which also added to the idea of that they were temporary. But they are in stone cut. There's stone cut notches underneath it that the stone are fitted in. They're not just in the ground, because she said they'd be fallen over a long time ago. And this right here is one of the entries and exits that they built across the ditch. And this is as I showed you, this is one of the entrances or exits into the circle. She was saying she felt like, because they were from the different quarries, that it represented different groups of people, and that possibly because the stones were so shallow, they would take the stones with them when they left. She was phenomenal. She clearly has a passion for this. She was involved in quite an extensive survey where they were trying to find other archaeological sites. Down here where that house is, it's called the Great Wall. They have found a very low wall that they believe was one of the, I showed it to you on the other side, but it's one of the kind of separated this particular henge from everything else. And she said at one point it's 12 feet wide. I mean, how do they do it? Oh, the other thing she said was that she felt like, well, they were asking about how they moved the stones, and did they roll them? How did they get them to where they are? And it's interesting, she said they could have used seaweed. Just everybody in the village gathered up seaweed, made this huge bed of seaweed, and rocks just slid on it. So interesting. And then there's the other entrance right there, entrance or exit. This ditch was 12 feet deep, dug down to bedrock. So we're going to go stop and look at the ranger station and see a picture of that. And this is all the ceremonial stuff that is in this particular area. This is where we were, the ring of Brodgar, but there's a ring up there, there's cairns. This, she was saying, is this earth-shaking discovery that has been excavated for 20 years, and now they're doing analysis on it. But we're going there. We saw that. We were in Mayshao yesterday. This is an insane area for Neolithic monuments. Okay, I have arrived at another stone circle. It does not look like it's a henge, though, but I don't know. It's called the Standing Stones of Stenness. And then over there, where that bus is, where that kind of that blue building is, I believe, and behind it there's a hill. I believe that was the excavation, or that is the excavation of the Ness of Brodgar. That's the one where they think it's going to like change how people think of the ancients, of the Neolithic people. So big deal, but they covered it back up again because they don't want the they don't want it destroyed by the elements. So interesting. Okay, evidently this was a henge, but this was farmland. So the ditch has been filled in, everything's been kind of leveled. But up here, not too far, they found another village, Neolithic village, called Barnhouse Village. And this is what they think it looked like. And then here's that blue building. And behind it, right there, is where the Ness of Brodgar is. But again, it's covered up. And since we don't have a guide to do the interpretive talk, I'll just film this. There was a hearth in the middle. They feel like it was a place of ritual and feasting, I guess. We'll see. Elaine, our guide at the Brae of Brodgar, was saying that this is probably the very first stone circle that was built, and everything else that was built later in other parts of Britain, maybe Europe. Yeah, I can think there are stone circles elsewhere that they came down from the north. So, and these are buried. These are also not deep, but they are a little deeper than the ring of Brodgar. Brodgar, yeah. So maybe 50 centimeters deep. And this is the location of the hearth. I'm guessing that those stones are original, not the pebbles, but around the corners. And then off in the distance, we have sheep. Indian sheep. I hesitate to say Scottish sheep, because Elaine told us they are not Scottish up here. And she's kind of right. They aren't. There's no clans, there's no tartans. They are purely Viking heritage up here. So, not purely, but they came from the Vikings, and they were part of Norway. They were gifted to Scotland as part of a dowry. The wedding never happened. Margaret, the Princess of Norway, died. But I guess the Orkneys stayed as part of Scotland, even though for many, 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 many years they were part of Norway. So, interesting stuff. And here's another view of the stones of Stenness. It's hard to believe they've been up for that long. I mean, these have been standing since, like, maybe, again, I'm probably making this up, 500 years before Brodgar. Yeah, I'm going to get that right one of these days. We are at the Highland Park Distillery. Highland Park is a very, very famous Scottish whiskey, and they make it here in Kirkwall. And these must be really expensive ones here. Oh, love it. In a Viking ship. Huh. All right, this looks very serious. Hello. Hello. The sun has come back out. This is the visitor center. I'm not allowed to take video inside, so I'm going to be taking still pictures. So, this they feel is the original distillery from 1798. Wow. And this is our selection for dinner. It is called, obviously, Helgie's, a traditional pub with harbor view. And here is the harbor view. Delightful. Well, we did not go to Helgie's. Evidently, you had to have reservations for this bar, and they couldn't fit us in. So instead, we are going to, I think it's called Harbor Fish and Chips. And so this is called an Orkney mince pie, or an Orkney mince patty. So I've been told it's delicious. This is a small fish and chips, and it's massive. And Chip got a stuffed tatty. What is it?
Chicken and sweet corn.
Chicken and sweet corn stuffed tatty. Yum.